Are you tired of feeling run down and exhausted? In our fast-paced world, we're often surrounded by toxins that impact our well-being. I provide holistic solutions designed to detoxify your body and environment. With cutting-edge AO voice scan technology, we identify the root causes of your discomfort or dis-ease, making personalized healing easier than ever. Start your transformative journey towards a healthier, toxin-free life. Because at White Sands Self-Care, your well-being is our priority.
We have a problem with our healthcare system in the U.S. It's more about sick care than healthcare. The U.S. isn't even listed as one of the world's healthiest countries. Most people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. Hi, I'm Jennifer Yagos. I have over 30 years experience helping people just like you feel good and heal naturally without medication or surgery. Schedule a free Zoom session with me at the link on the screen, and I'll show you a system using gentle, mindful techniques that allow my clients to quickly get back to work, play, and travel without pain. For years, one woman hit by a truck couldn't even get out of the bathtub without pain. That stopped after just one session with me. The Zoom session is completely free and there's no obligation whatsoever. Schedule now.
Well, welcome everyone to another Mindful Monday. Are you feeling trapped in a cycle of chronic pain, stiffness, or fatigue? Do you yearn to move freely and confidently again? Whether you dream of hiking through nature, dancing like no one's watching, or simply moving through daily life with vitality, Jennifer has the tools to help you rediscover your joy. Jennifer Yagos is a Guild-Certified, I'm probably going to mess this up, but Feldenkrais Practitioner? Okay, Feldenkrais Practitioner and seasoned health coach for over 30 years. Jennifer merges mindful neuroscience with gentle brain-body retraining and energy healing. So I hope you are ready to stop existing and start thriving. Jennifer, thank you for joining us today. I'm such a pleasure. I love it when people are of the same mindset, and I know you're about mindfulness and self-care, and I have to agree with you and your thing that I believe we'd have very much a sick care health. Yeah, it's not health system. It's a sick care system. So, but thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you start by telling us how your journey into the coaching began and what inspired you to specialize in helping others in chronic pain and movement challenges?
I've always been interested in helping people thrive at whatever they do. And as I got older, I realized that that was going to come from the health perspective. I started out helping people with gymnastics as a teenager. I was mentoring my fellow gymnasts, and that was a lot of fun. So I was always very interested in movement. In the process of my being a gymnast for 10 years, I had some injuries, and those followed me into college. I started studying in college to be an occupational therapist, and then I morphed into doing some health and human sciences as well as exercise science.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, through all of that, the classes were, having me experience what the Western medical world was like, whether it was through the exercise science or the therapy. And I noticed that this wasn't helping my shoulder pain that had been, following me into college. So I started exploring alternative health. And when I met my first Feldenkrais practitioner, she did an hour-long session. And afterwards, I had no pain in my shoulder. And not only that, but I was walking easier. So I had just moved downtown to Seattle, and I had done these hills many times, so I knew what kind of effort it took. And I was just floating up that hill after this one session. It was amazing.
So can you tell us what exactly is Feldenkrais? Because I have never heard of that one.
Yeah, and you pronounced it perfect. Yeah, it's named after Dr. Moshe Feldenkrais. In the 1920s, he started working on himself. He was born in 1904. had multiple knee injuries from playing soccer. And back then, the doctors told him there wasn't much of a, or there's like a 50-50 chance that he would either heal from the surgery or walk with a cane or a wheelchair for the rest of his life. In the meantime, though, he was doing martial arts and studying science. So he took that a little bit further into studying the body and was able to overcome his knee pain. Now, people were watching this and said, "Oh, can you help me now?" And so eventually in the 1970s, he came over to the United States after teaching in Europe for several decades. I met a teacher, well, actually, the teacher in Seattle referred me to one of Dr. Feldenkrais's first students here in the States.
Wow.
So I learned from him. It's a 4-year program. And to get more down to what it really is, sorry about that, I got in the story there.
Nope,
Was,
you're okay.
yeah, so it's really unique in that it reprograms your nervous system so that you're learning how to move. You know, you can be told to sit up straight or to walk straight or to put your shoulders down, but it's very infrequently that you really learn how to do it. So we teach people through, us as a profession, teach people through movement lessons how to rediscover their youthful movement from a developmental standpoint. People build habits as they get older. Those can interfere with comfortable movement. So we retrain all of that, and it sticks. It helps to practice these movements, retraining the brain, and making those new patterns stick with practice.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I was just curious because, and I've heard a lot about, resetting, and a lot of it comes down to our whole nervous system or a dysregulated nervous system. I've had another guest on that who talks about our nervous system being dysregulated, and that's kind of where a lot of our pain and ailments come from. And I think your system there also works with that as well, right?
It does. It does. In that our our emotions or feelings can change our body shape, and vice versa. Our the way we hold ourselves can bring on emotions. So it's a kind of a dance between the two. And of course, we have the traumas that come in that can really have that effect as well, of making the body not move as well, making people feel unattached from their body. And as you're doing the movements that I teach, the body definitely does down regulate. Stress can go down, sleep improves, and it's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible what the body can do. So was it the injuries then, when from gymnastics, the injuries that you had, is that what kind of pivoted you more to learning about the movement and ways to heal naturally, or?
It was something. It just kind of was a guinea pig opportunity to realize that this alternative medicine is what, or healing process is what helped me. Now, originally, why I chose it was when I was studying occupational therapy in college and doing the internship and watching the therapists work with the students or the patients, there was very little interaction. And, I was just thinking there's got to be something more than this sick care running in, checking off some boxes in a chart.
Right.
What else is there?
Yeah.
So when I came out to Seattle, Washington, I had heard that it was a hotbed for the alternative healing. So I came out here with that intention to figure out how can I help people better.
Nice. Nice. I did not know that. I've been to Seattle, but I did not know that about Seattle. Can you share like maybe a pivotal moment then in your career that reaffirmed your passion for becoming a Feldenkrais practitioner?
Yeah, so I was, and this is years into my being a practitioner. I had been a practitioner for 13 years, and I went back to college to get a physical therapist assistant degree, and and I finished my human development and family studies degree. So all of that human development plus the physical therapy was really great with reinforcing, for example, how to make sure that I'm taking care of post-surgical recovery the best, knowing the precautions and all of that. So that was great. with learning the traditional medicine. But what drove me nuts was people telling me during my internship, "You're not hurting me enough. You must not be doing this right," when I was, just trying to pass the tests for the physical therapist assistant. So the
Right.
reason I did that was in the past was to be able to bill insurance doing Feldenkrais. We had to have a certification. Feldenkrais was recognized under insurance as a very effective way to heal the body, but you had to have other degrees. And so I was going through the that physical therapist assistant training, and what was pivotal about that was I was realizing they were not teaching people any of this gentle approach, combining the brain and the mindset and the body together to heal somebody. They were isolating body parts. If you had something wrong with your knee, you had to have the referral for that. But if your shoulder also hurt, you had to go back to your doctor, get another referral, come back in, get evaluated, and then finally get going on your next treatment. Versus the Feldenkrais method, you come in with knee pain. Well, you know what? It might be because of the way you're holding your head, or just, maybe your shoulder is being held incorrect or in a way that isn't supporting your knee. So we go into treating the whole body every single time.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the first times when I had actually got a massage, and I'm thinking I'm going for this pain here, and she'd hit something here, and I'm like, whoa, okay. First of all, didn't even know that hurt, but you could like feel it like zing on down, and it affects the different area, and which is so. That's why I love the fact that you're doing that, and it looks at the whole body. But that is definitely a way I think our system is kind of broken, is because they're just too focused on one area or the other, and they're not looking at how things are connected.
Mm-hmm. Right. And
Yeah,
not that nobody does, but it's pretty rare going through the traditional colleges to get that kind of
yeah.
education.
Yeah. Oh, and then when you were talking about the other one, it reminds me, everybody always says no pain, no gain. It's like not everything has to hurt to feel better.
Oh yes, we specifically, as a profession at the Feldenkrais practitioners, less pain, more gain. Dr. Feldenkrais would say it all the time. Less pain, more gain. If you have less pain, your body's going to learn less pain. If you have no pain, your body will learn no pain. So there are ways that we can change the movements to be as comfortable as possible for the person to absorb that feeling of ease. And
Mhm.
that's what starts to reverse chronic pain cycles. Our body can get stuck in chronic pain. It's not on purpose, it's just there to guard us and or to protect us, and then as you come in and do a Feldenkrais lesson and feel the ease and feel the discomfort fading away, that cycle starts to perpetuate and it replaces the chronic pain cycle.
Wow. Yeah. It's
Mhm.
amazing how everything's connected. So what type of classes do you offer? And how do they cater to individuals? Because everything's different. And that's one thing I hate is when you go to place and they want to treat everybody the same, but we're not all the same.
Right. Yes. Yep. I do teach online classes since the lockdown. I moved my class to online, and when the world opened up again, people were pretty excited about not having to drive and find parking and pay for gas. So we kept it online, and it's a very gentle verbally guided. I bring them through specific movement sequences designed to reorganize and realign the body, really from a skeletal point of view, and our muscles and um, fascia and all of that relate to the bones. So once we are in that alignment and have our foundation of support, everything can just really nicely fall into place. So anybody with the cool thing is that each lesson, since it addresses the whole body, can improve anything. So I definitely take into consideration when I have a class if somebody has a problem. I'm very good at giving alternatives for any situation. Talk to me before the class. I'll make sure you're taken care of. And otherwise, my students are, they say to me, "Do you work for the CIA? You just picked the perfect lesson for me today." Or, "Wow, you're psychic." But whatever, I just roll with it. But it's just because of the amazing work that affects the whole body.
So if somebody has like serious mobility challenges, you can adapt. and alter the class and stuff then so they can still benefit from it? Is there
Right.
anyone let's put it this way, is there anyone you can't help?
Online right now, I don't have any sort of TTY. So if you can't hear, I don't have that kind of translation yet.
Okay.
So that's the one case I can think of. Otherwise, no. The lessons are either done lying down, sitting, or standing, or kneeling. But even lying down, you can adjust it to a sitting or standing position and vice versa. So there's all kinds of different options on organizing for your comfort. And there's no rules. Well, the rule is to take care of yourself and make yourself as comfortable as possible, always asking me for guidance when you need it. Um, but it's really learning about yourself, so that I encourage people to play, to not do what I say, find your own way of doing it. Maybe that's what your body needs more than what I'm saying. So there's that conscious process of experimenting, and at the same time your subconscious is dialing in on what works best for you.
And then, yeah, so when you do classes, is it lots of people then at one time, kind of all on a Zoom where you can watch and you can see the movements that they're doing so you can give them tips on how to correct or adjust for them then?
I typically have about 12 or less people in a class. However, I have a giant screen, so if I had more people, I would easily be able to see everybody. And once my students who have been doing this for quite some time will actually often turn off their camera because they've learned enough to just be on their own and know how to take care of themselves. But I'm definitely always here to help out. There's also people who are shy, who are brand new and don't want to be on camera, in which case I just do a lot of repeating and a lot of different options for variations to, based on my 30 years of experience in teaching the classes, I have some ideas on what people are going to be helped with the most, or, some problems that have come up in the past. I just pull out of my archives and offer those ideas.
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
so in your experience then, because you've been doing this for quite a few years, what are some of the common misconceptions that people have about movement therapies, and how do you address them?
Well, we already covered the one of more pain, more gain,
Right.
which fortunately is becoming less common. And that bigger is better is another thing. And it's interesting that it can really take a lot of practice to learn how to do a small movement and to have the patience for that. So the importance of doing small movements, and we're talking, you can see my finger barely moving. What happens with that is that your body learns how to initiate a movement. So we start from the very smallest part, the very smallest movement, and then you build on that and build on that with the different sequences of the variations that I bring people through. And through that process, there's also the bringing the imagination in. You've seen athletes rehearse for their event, whether it's running or gymnastics or dance. I was just watching it the other day, and a skier, she was doing this, and this, and she was just getting ready for the run. And yeah, perfect. She's, right in line with what I do.
Yeah, I was gonna say some people have like a whole visualization that they'll go through and they'll visualize themselves going through everything like before they do it. So
And so back to, who can I or can't help. If you don't have movement right now, there is that imagination aspect that comes into play. And there's been studies that show people who are imagining practicing the piano, and then when they actually go and play, the practice in their mental imagination has transferred, even if they had never played the piano before. And the thing is, even if they're not moving their fingers, that part of their brain is being highlighted as if the fingers were actually moving. So we have imaging proof that this stuff is real.
that's really pretty incredible. I always said the mind's like your most powerful tool, and it really is.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you also do one-to-one sessions, I guess, for people that I guess, don't feel comfortable in a class setting or need more. specific attention. So, what does a typical one-to-one session look like for you, and how would you tailor it to approach each client's unique needs?
Mhm. Right. So what I would do with each person is bring them. Usually we go into movements that I think would be helpful for them. And what's great about this, if they really aren't getting it in the class, and I'm glad you brought this up because I was going to, you can come and see me online, and specifically I'll point out, well, this is what you're doing different from what I'm suggesting you do now. Is this really what's best for you? Or, bring in this concept of you're really not going small, or you're really not going slow. Which again, takes a lot of practice, and people will say, really, I'm not? No. But beyond that, even though every lesson does affect the whole body, there are some that certain nervous systems love more than others. So with the one-on-one, we can tailor into finding more of what people like. I'm happy to record the lessons for the people, my students, so that they can practice on their own and have their own library to continue healing or to maintain. So the more you do a lesson, the less often you have to do it and the less amount of time, so that you can get little tune-ups in 5 seconds or a minute, and even in the imagination, because your body has been there before. Sort of like muscle memory, but more like
Right.
nervous system memory.
No, that really is incredible, and an important point, because I know a lot of people that seem to go like full throttle or full stop, and it's like you need the middle ground. But can do you have trouble sometimes getting people to focus or to slow down and just do the little and not overdo it?
The slowing down, for sure. Now, there are certain cases where the slow actually isn't better for these people, for some people. But the thing is, as long as you know what you're doing, you can do what you want. So if you're aware that what small is, and that's just maybe, some kind of hitch is in your joint today and it's not working for you, then we'll go big. But I want you to have the awareness. So basically what this is boiling down to is practicing awareness. And the verbal group classes of the Feldenkrais method are called awareness through movement. So
Yeah.
you're tuning in.
I worked with someone a while ago where they were, talking about different things and like the posture and how posture can change certain things. And after working with her, I would always have it kind of in my mind, because all of a sudden I'd start to have like a lower back pain. I was like, wait a minute. And I realized I wasn't, I wasn't sitting correctly, or I had slid. So, yeah, I would say awareness is probably a big part of that too.
Right.
And
And then to not get down on yourself if you're feeling like you're like, oh man, my posture was wrong again, and now my back hurts. Like, well, be kind, notice that that happened. And, maybe Jennifer gave you some ideas on how to, do some micro movements or larger movements to unwind that quickly. And awareness is a practice. Even I can lose track sometimes. You just gently invite your attention back to yourself.
yeah. Well, that would be a good point. You have a tip for people that maybe, because I'm sure a lot of people are nowadays are spending their time in front of the computers, right? And on screens, that have trouble with their neck, like saying get locked up, or their back. Do you have any like quick tips or techniques or something that they could try to relax and reset that?
Yeah, well, here's the easiest one is usually, unless you're super short, but that we can fix. The easiest one is to have your feet flat on the floor. And if they can't be, find some sturdy blocks, not one of those things not a tilt support.
Mm-hmm.
You might have seen those that go under the desks, but flat. And the reason for that is then you have the foundation of support. We have more gravity and forces going through our spine when we're sitting than when we're standing, and we need to have that foundation. And that's actually something that really helped my shoulder a lot. During my Feldenkrais training, I was working for doctors, typing notes, and I was shown how to sit correctly with my feet, and it's like a huge difference. Huge difference. And another thing is to not sit too tall. There's no squeezing the shoulder blades back. There's no lifting of the chest and holding the belly in. It's all about finding your bones for support. So I could show you one thing that you can do. It's just a gentle rocking. Let's see here. So it's like a slouching and then a coming up. So my pelvis is rounding and I'm coming, I'll come down this way and then this way. And then I make that smaller and smaller until I feel that my front and back are working pretty evenly and my feet are flat, my pelvis is there. So we're finding that's just a very basic, and it can work. You can give it a try and, see if that's enough for you to find how to go into a slouch and out of a slouch. Feel here how you're not going to be here all day easily because your back muscles are working so hard compared to just a little bit less. And a funny thing about this one is that when I get people into that muscle evenness front and back and really balanced, they feel like they're slouching. And they'll do a screenshot or take a picture if we're in person. I can do this in person as well. Mm-hmm. In my area, I have a couple of clinics, but I'll take their picture and they're like, wow, I'm straight. I'm not slouching at all. And I could be here for hours and not get tired.
Oh, and that's great because obviously, as we're watching you do that, you don't need a lot of space, right? So it's not like you have to like clear out your desk, and it's not a whole lot of movement. It's something someone can easily do, right in front of their desk, just to help correct that.
Right, so. And just a little tip: if you are gonna, anyone watching this, or you are gonna practice this, let's add in the eyes so that slouch, the eyes go down, and then as you get taller, the eyes go up. You're just rocking on these round sit bones. Okay, and then pause. And then we're going to go opposite. So you'll do the same thing with your body with the slouching, but your eyes are going to go up when you get shorter. And then they'll go down when you get taller. Staying in an easy range, so you're not necessarily going to go as big as me. If it's comfortable, you can. Eyes up as you get shorter. And then rest.
It's easier going the other way.
And you might already feel, I don't know if you feel a settling after doing that. Maybe your shoulders are finding your support better.
Yeah.
And then we go to the original way of eyes following the head. And that motion of shortening and lengthening might feel even smoother than before. Now that we're going the easy way again.
Yeah, the other way I had to concentrate.
Exactly.
I had to focus because I'm going opposite. Hold on. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that those little constraints is what helps to train the body, to the brain, to feel like if this is stuck, what else has to move? And, if you want the science, and then so sometimes that will clue in the nervous system to realize what's being left out. And then you go into the other movement, and whatever was feeling left out is now joining in, and the movement feels easier, smoother, more balanced.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I like that. Something good and easy you can all do while you're stuck in front of your computer. I know we all spend way too much time in front of the computers nowadays.
Yeah, and if that was not easy for you with your eyes, definitely practice that. Even if you just do your head and eyes together and opposite, we're not jamming the eyeballs into the edges of the sockets or anything. That can really help to rebalance the neck, or to take strain out of the neck, to help it balance on top of your shoulders without a lot of effort, because the eyes are very connected to the tone of your whole body. And especially, right here, since we're at the base of your skull, since we're moving right there with the eyes.
Yeah, that's so definitely one I'll have to work on.
And the reason I suggest people work on that is that when we're babies, our eyes are all over the place. And in fact, for a while, we can't focus very well. So the eyes and the head are very much independent of each other. And then we start to focus on things. And, obviously, as we are looking at our screen or even a book or whatever, our eyes are moving, our head isn't moving, or vice versa. And we lose that ability to have the smoothness of the eyes going with or opposite. the head. So really good to reconnect with that. It helps you react quicker in the real world. So it helps with balance and coordination.
Nice. That's important too. Yeah, because I know a lot of people will struggle with that. It's amazing what we change and get used to. Yet we had it so much more when we were younger, right? But then you lose it when you get older.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Jennifer, can you describe maybe a success story to us that stands out to like a client that it really transformed their relationship with their body through your guidance?
Yes. Well, you showed me before we started here. That was amazing. That woman who could not even get out of her bathtub. She was in so much pain and felt unbalanced. So she didn't feel safe as well as being in pain. And, she worked with me and she just couldn't believe how mobile her pelvis had become, and all of her bones allowed for that lifting while she had the support. So that was amazing that she made that progress to begin with, and then we worked more on her stamina and her walking and being able to unwind. And I have helped several people avoid knee surgery, which is so exciting. So they come in and their doctors are telling them either they're bone on bone or have something floating in there or a little bit of a tear. And what happens with as they work with me is they become more in tune with their body, pay more attention to how they're using themselves, as well as, again, that subconscious learning how to do things for you. Basically your better posture, better movement becomes more um, second nature.
Wow. And that's funny you should mention that because I was just on the phone with a friend today where she's got a friend that they're talking about having to do another knee surgery. He's already had like 2, 3 knee surgeries. So yeah. Do you have a specialty out of all the things? I mean, I know you can pretty much help. But what's your? I wish to say what's your jam?
Well, yeah, knees, shoulders. A problem with the knees and even the shoulders is we don't we never relearn how to walk. We just assumed that we learned when we were, a baby or toddler, and that's all we have to do. We can just go blindly through life now and assume we know how to walk. I teach all my clients how to walk, and we come back to it often. So, there's a certain way that balancing over your foot is going to be better than others, and it's different for everybody. But usually, it's being more in the middle of your foot
Mhm. Yep, you got it.
versus out to the edge. Uh, Oftentimes, shoes will push people inward or outward, so they're unbalanced there. But even barefoot, I can see people doing things that I'm like, well, if you've been doing that your whole life, that's not been supporting your knee staying healthy. So we uncover the things that aren't supporting health of the joints.
So you
And
basically you can tell by their stride and how they're walking and how they hit the floor when they're
yeah,
walking.
hmm yeah, and that's fairly easy to retrain. Hmm.
As long as people are open to, or as long as people are open to it, right, and not stubborn.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely have to be. It helps anyway to be open to this mysterious kind of healing that can really work wonders. And not having to understand. I know I've given some science, but really, if you don't understand any of it, as long as you're trusting in the process, that certainly is going to help. And it often goes a long way at
Yeah.
speeding up the recovery.
Well, and it really is all connected. I don't know if you've ever had plantar fasciitis or have dealt with anybody with that, but I had that some time ago. And of course, a lot of the ladies that work at cashiers, they're on their feet constantly. A lot of them get it. But when I had it, I swear I thought I fractured my ankle. And I mean, they put me in a wheelchair, they're x-raying my ankle, and they're like, no, everything's fine. They sent me to physical therapy. The guy hit the bottom of my foot. I'm thinking my problem's on the ankle until he hit that, and I about flew off the table because it had nothing to do with my ankle. It really was the bottom of my foot, but because I had, I guess, adapted to have less pain, I created the issue and put the pain in my ankle, and put it that way.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. And you're feeling better now?
Oh yeah. Well, I got rid of that a long time ago, and I've learned how to get rid of that and not. and not do the painful injections because they're very painful. They don't last very long, and
Right.
I will never do it again, especially now that I know all the holistic ways we have to do that. But yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. So, it can start at the feet and then it travels on upward to the point where you're like an earthquake proof building where you can sway a little bit to move with the earth, but not so much that you're falling down. A student of mine used a beautiful analogy the other day of a palm tree where you're swaying but not falling and everything is moving well together.
yeah. No, that is a great analogy. I love that.
And I mentioned to you that I work with people in person as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I can do similarly online. During the lockdown, I was training as a distance healing practitioner, so with energy. And so when I was seeing clients online, I offered them, would you like some energy hands? And I always get permission. It's a dance between what the person requests versus. So I'm there to facilitate their healing, not to tell them how to heal.
Right.
And the clients who had already been working with me prior to the lockdown, when we were at the end of our sessions, said they felt like they had just gotten up off of my table. So that was so amazing. It was really fun.
It is incredible how it works. I've seen that and experienced it myself. I know many have trouble wrapping their head around that, but it is real and it does work.
Yes. and
Yeah.
and it's working. That's also working on a cellular level.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Most definitely. So, how do you integrate mindfulness and neuroscience into your coaching? What benefits have been reported to you?
The awareness, as I was saying with the Feldenkrais, goes a long way with creating change. I also have some practice as a neurolinguistic programming coach. And I went to I guess you would call it a new level with John Grinder, who was one of the founders. Has taken it off into a spin of not so much, people used to get a little bit scared of it being like, oh, you're going to trick me into buying something or something like that. You might have heard some of that stuff. What John has gone into is, and his partner, Carmen, is reprogramming the subconscious all the way down deep into the archives. And I guide people, I guide people through imagining and tapping into that and teach them ways to continue with the positive thinking. So we really focus on what words they're using, the scenarios. I teach them how to remain open to allowing what could change them, like just being open to the awareness of the possibility of something coming in that they might not have noticed before. That's like, oh, that's the answer. So that combination of being open to noticing your surroundings, even on the subconscious level, from that regard of something coming into your thoughts or awareness, as well as that awareness of movement. And, the Feldenkrais for me is a lifestyle.
Right.
When I learn about the awareness and I learn about the experimenting of movement, and during the experimenting of movement, providing options to my system, I do that with life. How can I experiment with this? What other options are there? What feels like it's working the best? What's serving me the best now? What should I get rid of? What should I let go of? So definitely I'll bring that into my clients' awareness as well when I feel it's appropriate.
Yeah, I love that because it really is a whole package. Because I know many people hang on to things and they don't realize how it's impacting their health or their movement. Um,
Right.
so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for someone that feels hesitant to start moving again, especially due to past injuries or fears, what encouraging advice would you offer them?
Take a breath and imagine what you want your life to be. And think about that often, like very clearly. You could even write it down. Do for instance, so right before the lockdown, I had gone in for a brain surgery and I had some coaching from Carmen with the neurolinguistic programming, and what am I going to be doing after my surgery? And it was watching my granddaughter graduate from high school. And she was still very young. So I had a long way to go before she graduated from high school. But so imagining what you want. And, now that you've listened to this, you can learn from me that the imagination starts to create new neural pathways in your entire system, and creating the trust that, yes, I will get better. Just keep saying it. Don't go, oh, I might not ever get better. I still have to coach a lot of my clients who come in, oh, I'm just stuck this way. It's like, just don't even say it.
That would not be a positive mindset.
Keep saying where you want to go. Even if you don't get there tomorrow, keep coming back tomorrow and saying where you want to go as if it's happening.
Yeah. So would you say visualization then plays a big role in your healing? Because I know some people that have healed themselves where doctors thought, oh, you've got so much time left, this is it. But they did like a couple hours a day of visualizing like things repairing in their body. And yeah, they're still alive and doing well.
Yes, that's exactly it. And if they were healthy before, they can remind their body and talk to yourself about what it was like to be healthy, and just reemphasize that. Okay, now please bring this, this is what it's going to be like tomorrow. Just keep saying it, thinking about what you want to be. Because some people I have run across the fact that some people just tell me they can't imagine. They don't even understand the concept when I ask them to imagine something. And, so that has to be defined as, are you seeing something? Are you feeling something? Just saying the words is adequate for imagining, you know. So if I ask somebody if we go back to the Feldenkrais, imagine what your shoulders would be doing here, and they're like, I have no idea. It's like, well, then just think it. Think it. It's filling in the map of the brain. So your brain responds to words, it responds to movement, and you can just keep repeating it. And you might not feel that it's happening or that it's progressing, but it is.
And it's funny because if you're having that same conversation with a child has no problem doing it. But it's like as we get older and we get taught and we learn more things, we get, I don't know, too in our head, too stuck in our ways, but we forget how to be that inner child and just go off to make believe or imagination. How do you help people get over that?
How do I help people get over that?
Yeah. How do you help them get over that? Because if you say you got somebody that's really overthinking and they, are not shutting it off, I'm sure that's challenging for you, but do you have ways to help them kind of break through?
Yeah, redirection. So my back hurts, and do a movement. What do you notice now? Oh, my back still hurts. And then they go into the story of why. And it's like, well, let's try this a different way. Instead of noticing how it feels in your back, what are you noticing with if they're lying down, for instance, what is it, which part of your legs are touching the floor? What is the point of contact on the back of your head? So we send the awareness elsewhere to focus on, what's not the problem, to focus elsewhere on what the problem might be. And you can do that anytime. Like I was saying, we can focus on what's wrong and what's not being fixed quickly, or you can focus on where you want to go. So in this case, you're focusing on what feels good, what else am I noticing? Start to spread your awareness through other things and letting more of those things come in to your immediate attention. And then gradually that other stuff has the potential then to fade away.
Yeah.
Change. Mm-hmm.
No, definitely good points because I always, you are what you put your focus to, and sometimes that's hard to shut that off or to drown out the pain and put your mind on something else. But can be
It,
done. Can
it
be
is
done with practice.
hard. It's like even if your right eyebrow doesn't hurt, go ahead.
It's kind of like when you injure yourself, right? You didn't know what all connected or how many times you use that and stuff until you've injured something, because then you seem to keep hitting it on something and it keeps reminding you that it's there.
Yeah, and again, that kind of thing takes practice.
Yeah.
patients for
So,
something for most people.
yeah. So, looking ahead, what vision do you have for your practice and the impact you hope to make on the lives of those who are struggling with your movement and wellness?
I want to see everybody living their full potential, and we all have our different full potential, and being okay with where they're at, being happy with where they're at in a way that is really bringing them joy so that they can be free to experience life. And I love that I can do this online now because I can reach everyone anywhere across the world who has internet connection. So I'm just so excited to be able to help potentially millions of people, right? To live to their highest comfort level, and just in that sense, people are going to be happier and start treating people better and nicer. We get rid of the pain, get rid of the grumpiness will decrease, people will be happier, people will be loving each other more, spread the love.
Yeah, absolutely. Because whenever we don't feel good, we all have a tendency to be like short, snippy, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're feeling good, it's so much easier to be nicer and spread more joy than crankiness.
So much easier.
Absolutely. See, and I love that too because there's so many people. Even when I take my fiance, you hear people. You can just hear them. They just seem stuck, or they just reserve to the fact that this is my life because my family had it, or this had it, or something happened. And they just feel, oh, this is old age. I can't even tell you how many times I get so tired of hearing that as old age. I'm like, it's just a number.
I know, likewise, likewise. And that's what the brain hears. That's what it's going to program as. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, do you have any exercises that you use to help them to kind of start reprogramming? Do you affirmations, vision boards? Do you incorporate any of that at all, or no?
I don't do vision boards, but I do recommend, I actually have a journal that I've created that I do recommend that they start. It's very simple with some gentle movements that take just a minute. So, actually, one of the things we did sitting can not only help you sit behind a desk, but it can unkink your neck. It can work out the inflexibility of the spine. But another thing I have them do is to keep track of what makes things worse, what makes things better. Some people just don't know those things. And to experiment if something isn't working. What if, for instance, with your right hand, what can you do with your left hand? And it just, it takes you to a different place. And so that's kind of a basic thing as far as movement and experimenting, bringing in more options. But I also will have people putting a picture on their mirror of what they love to do, so they see that every day. And if there's words, we'll either work together. Some people already know which words bring them joy already. Put that up on your wall somewhere. Put it next to your desk. Put a sticky note on your screen if you're on a computer all day.
Yeah.
Or you could even put your favorite picture of where you want to be as your screensaver on your phone.
Absolutely. I always say to make your whatever area you're in or you're working, make it your happy place or what makes you happy. If you have the ability to do that, people that are working jobs may be limited and can't necessarily do that. But like you said, you could put a little photo up or something just to focus on.
Right. Close your eyes. If you are good at visualizing, close your eyes and imagine. For me, I'm usually in the mountains by a lake. My time out, or in the
Yeah.
desert,
Yeah.
by a beautiful cactus, or
Everybody has a different happy place.
yeah.
So we got about 6 minutes left, Jennifer. Is your website, the motionfreedom.com, is that the best place for people to connect with you or?
Yeah, and if they go there right now, I have a freebie on there for unkinking the neck, which is actually what a version of what I taught my client who had been hit by the truck. But so in that case, we know it can help the whole body. It can help your leg to lift lighter. It's not just about the neck. So there's that freebie there, and there's a way to contact me for a free session if you want to just talk with me about what's going on with you, see if we're a good fit. You can do that there, as well as register for classes or private sessions.
Nice. So
Mhm.
your classes, how often do you do the classes?
I teach every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's ongoing. You don't have to come every week. Each lesson stands alone. I've been teaching it for 16 years at that time. So, definitely drop in anytime you want. If you're new, there's a form to fill out. So I have a little bit of knowledge of, what's going on with you. So with a small group, if somebody comes in with a major problem, I can take a guess at what's going to help them the most, an educated guess. And everyone in class is going to love the lesson since it helps since it really does ultimately help everything.
Yeah, and I would say the nice thing about small classes too is you got a good amount of support because I'm sure everyone in the class supports everybody else or encourages them to keep going, which I find helpful normally.
Right. And then I teach 2.5 hour deep immersions 4 times a year online, the Feldenkrais class, as well as a couple of programs. I have one that's pretty much a whole body tune up of building confidence. I call it Move with Confidence, just a really generalized basic approach to the method. And I teach an eyesight course. So yeah, so I was starting to get to a point where I couldn't read the phone number on the back of my insurance card. And I was getting, clients of mine that was one of their requests or comments to me. It's like, well, then I'll just build a course. And by the end of the 4 weeks, I was able to read the back of my card, no problem.
That's incredible. So, in other words, to kind of help rebuild or correct the vision.
Yep, to reorganize it, it's a whole body again. It's the whole body, and it has also helped people relieve their headaches were alleviated. 2 people have gotten rid of chronic vertigo by doing the course. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really incredible what you can do. We have a couple minutes left. What would you like to leave everybody with today?
Don't give up. Don't give up. If you do need help, if you're struggling with your exercise, your physical therapy, really consider opening up to something more holistic. Reach out to me. If we're not a good fit, I have recommendations that I can, give you for otherwise. But really just be open to not giving up on your journey if you are having discomfort, or even if you're not discomfort, if you want to do maintenance, this is a great way to maintain your body. Many of my students, like I said, have been doing this for 15. I said I've been doing it for 16 years at this one place. Or anyway, so they've been following me the whole time, just as maintenance to stay young. So you
Yeah.
don't have to be in pain.
Nope. It's always nice to not be in survival mode because we should be thriving and not just surviving.
And if you want to go to high level athlete mode, I can do that too.
I absolutely love the work that you're doing, and I love that you can do it in person or online. I know lockdown shifted a lot of things, but I think it also opened the doors for a lot of people and opened up possibilities for them. So
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've had athletes and musicians, or not athletes, musicians as well, and actors. So I love working with the whole range of people. It keeps it, I like the creativity. It makes my job fun, and I really just love helping people and seeing the big smile on their faces at the end of our sessions.
well, yeah, especially if they've like that horrific car accident and been in pain. It's always nice when you can see someone just be able to function again and not feel stuck.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us today. So, if there's anyone out there watching, or it's someone you know that is watching that has been just like surviving or struggling, feeling stuck, reach out to Jennifer. She can be a huge help for you. And it, it never hurts to find out and get see if you guys are compatible. But I mean, me personally, I always prefer holistic over being surgeries and stuck with needles. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
definitely give it a try. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your Monday. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you all next time.